Good evening. I know, doing it kind of early in the week, but goal is to not overuse the term division matchups because we know that week 18 is nothing but that. And because they are that, we're going to go through one conference at a time, okay? So first talk about the AFC and the seedings at the moment. Last week, after week 17, there were some more teams eliminated officially, especially after that Minnesota Packers game. And there are also some teams that locked up spots in the seedings, okay? So let's start with the seeding. So the AFC, we have the Baltimore Ravens. At the number 1 seed, it's locked up. They cannot move down. The number 2 seed at the moment is the Miami Dolphins. They will be 2. They cannot move up. They can go down to 6. We have the 3 seed is the Kansas City Chiefs. They have locked up the 3 seed. The 5th seed right now is the Cleveland Browns. They've locked that up. They cannot move up or down. Okay? Those are the only teams that have clinched anything so far in the AFC. For the AFC South right now, it's the Jaguars hanging on to that division, the top of the division. We also have the Bills at 6 right now. They can go to 2, or they can be out completely. We have at 7. We have Dewey's Colts. Those 3 teams have not clinched yet: Jacksonville, Bills, and the Colts. Okay, only 2 bubble teams left in the AFC. That's Houston Texans and Pittsburgh Steelers, both at 9 and 7. All right. In the NFC, okay, let's go to the games. Okay, no, let's go to the NFC seeding. So the seedings: 49ers last week locked up the number 1 seed following their win, and the Eagles lost to Arizona. Dallas at 2 has the 2 seed. They could fall if they lose. They could lose the division. 3 seed is the Lions right now, who are all but locked in there, but there's some scenarios where they can move up to 2. The 5th seed is the Eagles, so they're locked in to at least a wild card. They can also win the division, okay, and go up to 2. The Rams at 6 have locked up a playoff spot. They're 9 and 7. They clinched last week. And then in the hunt, we have but not clinched yet, we have the Buccaneers at 8 and 8, atop of the NFC South, and then we have the Green Bay Packers at 8 and 8, incredibly controlling their own destiny right now. 4 bubble teams right now: Seattle, New Orleans, both 8 and 8, and then we have the Vikings and the Falcons 7 and 9, needing those 2 teams, Falcons and Vikings, needing the most help from other teams. Okay, let's start with the Saturday games. So Saturday, we have 2 games. The earlier game around 4 is the big Pittsburgh and Baltimore game. Now Baltimore has everything locked up, but they don't want to let in their division rival, their biggest division rival, the Steelers. See how they play that out. I'm not sure how that's going to go. But Pittsburgh, in order to get in, because right now they're on the bubble, they need to beat the Ravens and have the Bills lose. Or they need to win and have the Jacksonville Jaguars lose or tie. Or they can win and get a Colts-Texans tie. It was a more combination that's not as probable. The Steelers can also They can also have a tie, and then they need the Colts and Houston game to not end in a tie, plus a Jaguars loss. The Steelers can get in if they lose to Baltimore, but it would take a miracle. They would need the Colts and Texans to not tie, plus a Jaguars loss, plus a Denver loss. Okay, so that'll be the first Saturday game. The second Saturday game is the night game. The big game in the AFC South that could end up being for the division, but that depends on what happens with Jacksonville Sunday. So we have the Texans going into Indianapolis, take on the Colts. The Texans need to win this and a Jaguars loss or tie. The Colts need to win this and a Jaguars loss. Okay, so a little difference there. We all know that's a big game there for Dewey's team. Okay, so it's for those two Saturday games, I want to add this. If either the Texans or Colts wind up getting into the playoffs, and or the Pittsburgh Steelers end up getting into the playoffs, because they played Saturday, I believe that on Wild Card Weekend they're going to stick one, or if both of those teams, Pittsburgh, Houston, Indianapolis, one of those teams, or if one or two of those teams get in, they will. I believe they'll stick them with the Saturday wild card game to make it fair, so they don't have like an extra day preparation. All right, just something to remember. There are some games in the AFC. I think there's none in the NFC, but there's a few games in the AFC that have zero playoff implications. The first one is the Jets and Pats. Okay, one of the 1 o'clock games, they're both eliminated. The second one is the Cleveland Brownies at the Bengals, and also at 1 o'clock. Cincinnati was eliminated Sunday, late Sunday, and then Cleveland Browns are locked in at the 5 seed. They can't move up or down, so that game has no playoff implications. Cleveland likely to rest starters, we'll see. Denver at Las Vegas. So the Browns were eliminated. The Broncos were eliminated, and the Raiders were eliminated last week. So this game is just for pride. This game has no implications. Also a game with no implications is the Kansas City at Chargers game. That is a 4 o'clock game. What will the Chiefs do will they rest their starters, maybe second half? Chiefs are locked in at 3. They cannot move up or down. And the Chargers have been eliminated. All right, now let's get to the AFC games that have... So that's 4 games in the AFC that have no playoff implications. Wow, all right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have 4 that have implications. So half of the games have no meaning. All right. So a 1 o'clock game, we talked about Jacksonville, and Jacksonville goes to Nashville, take on the Titans. All right, Jacksonville right now is the haven't clinched, but they're the leader. So the win, and they're in. Okay, so they beat the Titans, which is the weakest team in the division, and they're in. They got to do it on the road though. Or they can, if they lose, they're out. They can tie and still get in with a Colts and Houston ending in a tie. Okay, very unlikely. All right, so an important game in Tennessee at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Regardless of what happens in the Texans-Colts game, Jacksonville still needs to win that game. Okay, in all likelihood, they can't lose. All right. So, all right, we have in the Did I take care? Yep, so that takes care of it. All right, so let's go. The final game in the AFC is the Buffalo-Miami game, a massive game. This is the game of the week. I think it was flexed to Sunday night, so it is Sunday night, but I'm pretty sure it was flexed. This is huge for both teams. Okay, Buffalo now at the 6th seed, Miami at the 2 seed. Miami loses, they're at the 6th seed. If the Buffalo, if they win, they retain position at the 2 seed. If Buffalo wins, they're automatically number 2. Okay, so and they're division champions, number 2. If they lose, they need a Jacksonville loss or tie against the Titans, or a Pittsburgh tie or loss on the Saturday game, or they need a Texans-Colts tie. So the Bills better win this game. If those things don't happen, if the Bills lose and the Jaguars win, or the Pittsburgh Steelers win, or the Texans-Colts doesn't end in a tie, either one of those things, Buffalo will be sitting at home out after all they've done to really get back to this thing and win. They got to go to Miami and do it against a Dolphins team that's coming off a huge loss. They're going to want to get right in this game. All right, Buffalo, Miami, be there Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Wow. It's a big one. All right, NFC games. We have one of the 4 o'clockers. Stick with the 1 o'clocks first. Minnesota, Detroit. All right, so we got Minnesota, Detroit. The Lions are the 3rd seed. Most likely going to be the 3rd seed, whether they win or lose this game. Okay. They lose, they're locked in at the 3rd seed. They can't go down. They can still get the 2 seed if they win this game, and they have both Philadelphia and Dallas lose. Okay, so that would require them winning plus the Eagles and Cowboys both being upset. They're both favored in their games. We'll get to their games. All right, the other 1 o'clock, Tampa Bay at the Carolina Panthers. We have the Panthers are out, but the Bucks, who are right now leading the AFC South. The Bucks win the South with a win, so when they're in, they control their own destiny or if they lose, they need a Saints loss or tie. Okay? All right. Let's go to the other 1 o'clocker. The Saints and the Falcons has a lot of implications. Okay? So the Saints need a win and a Bucks loss or tie, or the Saints can tie and get a Bucks loss. Okay? Andy's Falcons need the most help. They need to beat the Saints, and they need a Bucks loss, and that would mean the Bucks losing at Carolina. So Falcons, they have a home game. They can take care of their business. Saints aren't that great, but they still need to win and then pray that somehow the Panthers get a win. Okay, maybe it'll happen. The Panthers are at home. All right. The rest are 4 o'clockers. So we start with the Bears at Green Bay. The Bears at Green Bay. Okay, so this has a lot going on here. Bears were eliminated last Sunday following the non-tie of the late game. The Packers, who are in the 7th seed now, when they're in, they can tie, but need combinations of Seattle Saints and Saints losing or tie, or Seattle and Buccaneers loss or tie, or Seattle tie and Bucks win. Okay. Packers can lose this game, but if that happens, they do not want to be in that position because at that point they would need one, the Vikings loss or tie plus Seahawks loss plus a Buccaneers loss. Or they would need the combination of Vikings loss or tie, Seattle loss, and New Orleans loss. Okay, so they would need one of those two combinations to happen if they lose, so they don't want to lose this game. All right, we have, what else do we have here? We have the, let's go to the Seattle at Arizona game. Okay, so Seattle on the bubble, another bubble team. Arizona is eliminated. Seattle on the road needs a win plus a Packer loss. They can tie and get in, but there's a lot of weird things that have to happen there. Okay, so Seattle needs to win and hope that the Bears pull off the win in Green Bay. All right, that Bears Green Bay game at Lambeau is also with one of the 4 o'clockers. Bears are out, like I said, and so that'll be a big one there in one of the late games. Did I miss any? All right, so the NFC East, we have the Philadelphia at Giants game is an interesting game because it's a 4 o'clocker. They just played each other a couple weeks ago, and the Giants still had a little steam left. They got back into that game. I think they're starting Tyrod Taylor in this game, and it's a home game at the Meadowlands. And they got the swirling winds there. And the Eagles are just coming back from the desert. So this is a weird, it's not a good position. It looked like it was an easy one. I said it was going to be an easy one like a month or so ago. This has some interesting implications, okay? So all that's up for grabs here is division. Eagles can't get out of the playoffs, but if they lose, they're just locked into that 5 seed. If they win and Dallas loses, they're division champions, and that's big. They would be in the 2 seed, okay? They would, wow, yeah, it would be 49ers 1, the Eagles 2. So, all right, Dallas at Washington. Dallas win, and they've got the 2 seed. They can't go up. Dallas loses, and they are going to be, they have to hope that the Eagles lose. Okay, so that's a big one. So Dallas and Philadelphia can be 2 or 5. And the last thing that FedEx Field is going to be full of Cowboy fans, and whatever Commander fans are there, including owner Josh Harris, will be rooting against their team. The last thing they want is for the Commanders to win that game, push them further out of the draft. All right, those are the games. All right, so we got a lot of interesting scenarios this week for Week 18, starting Saturday and ending Sunday night. And then hopefully, next week it'll be, or by Sunday night it'll be all nice and cleared up. We'll know all the playoff scenarios, the times, wild card weekend. What do you think, guys? I think this is setting up a wild card weekend party. Hopefully a little snow. I think we should have a Saturday night party on wild card weekend with all the games. There's now like 6 games for wild card weekend. No, more than that, right? There's 6 games now, so it's going to be big. All right, guys. Hope you, my best for your teams, if they're still in it. Most of them are. There's only a few games that are, a lot of teams are still in there, but some of your teams are playing spoilers. I've seen some of the Bears fans talking about, wanting to knock out the Packers. I can understand that. So, all right. This wraps it up. Another video. Close out the regular season. Oh, and I'll have to do my top 10. I guess I'll have to do my top 10 teams going into the playoffs next week. What do you think? All right. Thanks for watching. 3, 2, 1. Do it.